Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's another week of mischief and mayhem that's been happening. I haven't really written anything for this week or done a lot of planning with it. I have been really trying to stay away from a lot of the news of the world. It hasn't really worked that well, but there you go. We're still dealing with the Epstein thing. It's still one of those things that we are fighting about. I think that it's interesting to see how many diversionary tactics Trump is using right now. My favorite, of course, is that the 2016 he interfered with the elections and a seditious act, which I think is hilarious that he said it that way. It should have been a seditious act, but it's not even that as much. I'm sitting here looking at this, and we know that he's in the files. We know that his name pops up with everything revolving around Epstein. They were tight friends for 15 years. There's no denying that. Okay? He's there. We know it. They know it. He knows it. Period. What we want to know is who else is involved with this and to what extent. I mean, we already know that Prince Andrew was part of this group. We know that, and he was shamed beyond belief. It's circumstantially Trump is involved in it, and the more that he denies it, the more that he becomes complicit in it, if that makes sense. He is. I cannot fathom why people still believe him. And it's more than just that. It's not just believing him. Yes, MAGA is pissed off that he hasn't released the files that he said he was going to, but then he didn't, and then it was a hoax. Then it was something written by Hillary and Biden and Obama and Comey and all these other people. They put a bunch of fake stuff in there. And then there's nothing in the files, and then there aren't any files at all. And then it's hard to keep track of. He is doing the same thing that he's done with every single court case that has been brought against him, any charges that have been brought against him or should have been brought against him, such as all the documents he took to Mar-a-Lago, which I still think that there's something that needs to have a repercussion with that. But with this, I've seen people like Charlie Kirk and these MAGA senators and representatives that are just kissing his ass still about it. That have said that, and I quote, and I forget who it was. It was some Republican person that said that it doesn't matter if his name's in the files because Trump is playing the long game. That no matter what, he's going to come out on top. He always does. He's always winning. So he's always going to come out on top. So it doesn't matter. And it is amazing to me that is the mindset that's within our culture right now, within the Republican Party. They're covering for a possible pedophile. They're covering for somebody who's been accused of sexual assault. They're covering for someone who has been known to have assaulted many women. And they act like it's it's not a big deal if he does it. That it's okay. And I think that's the thing that's annoying me more than anything else. If Bob down the street did this, he would be thrown away. He'd be locked up and the key would be thrown away. And he wouldn't survive in prison. Trump looks as though he's been doing the same thing, and people are still supporting him. And I don't understand where that comes in. I don't understand the mindset of this. And I know it's easy to say it's a cult, that our dear leader can do no wrong, but there's something more than that. There's a delusion that's happening right now. And I'm not going to call it fascism. I'm not going to call it a cult. But there's something else going on. There is this mindset of a large group within our population that do not or cannot acknowledge reality. And it is concerning. Of course, I live in the middle of a county that is MAGA through and through, and it's weird as hell. He is really diverting a lot of attention. Let's see, these are the diversions that he's tried. The Obama thing is one of them. Telling the Washington Commanders that they have to change their name back to the Washington Redskins if they want to have their stadium in D.C. finished up for them. He's grateful for CBS canceling Stephen Colbert, and he's like, good, get rid of him. Maybe we can get rid of a lot of these people. Which, I'm going to talk about that in a second. So there's the Colbert thing. He has... there's just been so many other distractions with it right now. And it hasn't worked. He's telling Coca-Cola that they have to bring out another product that goes back to the original Coca-Cola using American sugar cane instead of high fructose corn syrup, that this is a push by RFK Jr., whatever his name is, by Kennedy, that it's supposed to be healthier, even though it's the same amount of carbs and calories and all the other stuff that's bad for you in it. It's tiring. It really is, to follow all of the shit that's going on, because you've got to try and determine what is important and what is not. And the news doesn't help, because everything that he says and does, they are on it, hook, line, and sinker. Well, he said this, so now we have to spend the next 24 to 48 hours talking about what he said, talking about what he threatened to do, talk about all of the... And then 24 hours later, he says something else. We need to take a look at all of this, is what he said. And I really think that if mainstream media would just say, the president said this, and nothing else. No opinions, nothing. Get on with the news. Start talking about news that matters. Start talking about things like, my favorite, in Texas. And you've got to love this. This is exactly what Republicans try to do. In Texas, in the flood relief legislation that's being discussed, they've slipped in redrawing and redistribution of congressional seats, which is supposed to help the Republicans gain 5 seats in the national representatives. It has nothing to do with flood relief. And they said, the Republicans have said, we're not going to pass any flood relief unless we get to redraw the lines, unless we get to redo all the districts. The Democrats are outnumbered, and they're like, we can't stop this. All we can do is refuse to show up and not let them have a quorum to be able to vote. That's all that they can do. But that just hurts the flood victims in Kerr County and around Texas. They take something, and this is what I've been seeing about the Republicans and Abbott and Patrick and all of these other fuckwits, is that they take something that everybody's on board with and they sneak in their own bullshit. Now, here's the thing about the redistricting lines, and I want you to realize this, and if you don't know about it, please go and look it up. Okay? The Republicans were the ones who drew the lines, who redrew the district back in, I want to say, 2020. Something like that. And there's a big brouhaha about it saying, hey, this has been on racial lines. You know, this is being figured out along racial lines. This isn't cool. And they swore up and down, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, we would never do anything. That has nothing to do with it. And they swore under oath that that was not the case. That it was about fairness, that it was about getting groups together and all this other yada, yada, yada. Now, they're saying that they have to do the redistricting because it's biased along racial lines. I want you to, and they don't say it ironically. They don't say it with a shred of irony. They don't say it with a shred of remorse or guilt that they just fucking lied about it recently. Because they are so afraid that the Democrats, that more people are becoming Democratic in Texas and seeing through the bullshit, that they have to trick and use loopholes and everything else they can to keep Texas as a red state. Because God forbid if Democrats were in charge. And it's amazing that this is the tactics that they're using. They don't give a shit about family values. They don't give a shit about saving children. They don't give a shit about anything other than staying in power. And when people start realizing that they're not governing, they're controlling, then maybe people will stop voting for them. They lie. All politicians lie. I'm not going to deny that. All politicians make grandiose statements about what they're going to do and how they're going to do it and who they're going to do it to or whatever. But this is a different type of lie. This isn't bending the truth to try and get the best outcome for your people. This is just straight out lying to stay in power. And this happens on a national scale and on a state level, even a local level. On Reddit, on the Conroe page, anytime somebody mentions anything about being a Democrat, they get laughed at and yelled at and screamed at and called all types of names and all this other stuff. And it's like, geez, what the hell is wrong with you people? It's amazing to see how much vitriol and anger and hatred come out from people. See, here's the thing. I'm not mad at conservatives. I'm not mad at Republicans. I'm baffled by them. I'm baffled by the people that vote Republican. Now, the people in power, the good ones have basically sat there and said, yep, screw this, I'm out of here. Mitt Romney looked at everything and went, no, this isn't what I signed up for, fuck this, and left. And he was a career politician, ran for fucking office, for presidency. That's how much of a career politician he was. And he basically went, yeah, I'm done. That should tell you something when a career politician looks around at his own party and says, nope, I can't do this. I can't support this. With the knowledge that if he didn't support it, he would have been kicked out, or attacked, or as Trump threatens to do with everybody, primary them out. The senator from Kentucky, I forget what his name was, is really pushing the Epstein files thing. And so Trump's attacking him on social media. Trump is saying, we need a better person in there to run for office, and I'm going to primary him out if somebody steps forward, and I'll back them. The problem with that is that 90% of the people that Trump backs fail to get elected. Period. That red wave that was supposed to happen last midterm never came about because all of the candidates that he backed were complete lunatics. Of course, Herschel Walker, Oz, all of these idiots that just it's amazing that they even got nominated. But this is where we're sitting at. We're not looking at, and the Democrats have to stand up. The Democrats have to fight back, and the Democrats have to truly say no. And it can't just happen with just Booker T, Cory Booker, excuse me, Booker T, Cory Booker coming out and saying, doing a 25, 26 hour filibuster. It can't be AOC coming out and yelling at rallies, or Bernie Sanders doing the same. There's got to be more. Hakeem Jeffries, he's probably a nice guy, but he is so over his head with stuff. Schiff is another one. And I mean, the Democrats need new blood that is not afraid. Period. And I think that that's the biggest problem right there. Onto politics and show business. Of course, we talked about Stephen Colbert basically being canceled. That he's going to go through the 2026 season, and it'll be his last season there. And a lot of that comes down to the sale of Paramount to Skydance, I think it is, or is what it is, or Skynet, or whatever the hell it is. That because he was a big verbal opponent of Trump and bashed him a lot, that was one of the deals. Of course, they also kissed the ring with their 60 Minutes capitulation, which I think is the stupidest thing. They should have fought that. They should have fought that through and through, with him saying that they were unfair and trying to influence the election. But when you have the DOJ weaponized, how are you going to fight that back? But they could have. And they could have done it for years. But the problem is that the FCC, even though it's supposed to be an independent political functionary, still bow to Trump. And probably would have blocked this merger that's an $8 billion thing. Now, I'm truly, truly hoping that they have said this, that this is a long con on Trump, that the sale goes through, they take their lumps with all of this stuff and all of the criticism that's happening right now. And then as soon as everything goes through and is finalized, they turn around and go, you know what, looking back at the numbers, we realized that we made a mistake and we need Stephen Colbert to stay with this. And that he's in on it. That he's in on this long con with them. And that he comes out and he tells them it never really was going to be canceled. We just did this so we could have this merger happening. I think that that would be the cherry on top. That Colbert would get the award for fucking Trump over big time. I think it'd be hilarious if that's what it was. But it looks, by appearances, even though it may not be, by appearances it does look as though it is politically motivated. That it's kissing the ring, so to speak. Speaking of entertainers going against Trump and the like, South Park's new episode really eviscerates Trump. I've only seen part of it, but holy crap. I would not be surprised if the FCC tries to come down hard on South Park and the creators of it. It is hilarious. If you haven't seen it, it's maybe on YouTube or something else. Look for it. It is freaking funny. And it really does make fun of Trump. I mean, no, they don't pull any punches with that. And let's just say, if you remember South Park, it used to be Saddam Hussein that was sleeping with the devil. Now it's Trump. Okay, so that should tell you something right there. It really is funny. So, on to some sad news. We lost 3 people that were in the limelight. Just boom, boom, boom. Malcolm Jamal Warner, who started in The Cosby Show, then was in The Resident, and then was in another show and has done other things with it. He was a fun actor. He looked like he was a decent human being. He died because of a rip current and drowned, I think, while on vacation. So, and he was 50-something. Then, of course, Ozzy Osbourne passes away. He made it to where he made it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He did his last concert, and I think that that's one of the things that he was holding on for. He wanted to do his last concert, but between advanced Parkinson's disease, botched spinal surgery, and other health issues, and just all the drugs that he took before, I mean, it finally caught up with him. And, I'm going to say that one platitude that I hate. At least he's not in pain any longer. But he was somebody that still was making music and still was performing, so to speak. I know that was his final concert, but I have really liked what he's done musically. When he first came out with Black Sabbath, I was interested, but it wasn't one of those things to where I really picked it up that much until later on in my life. And when he started doing solo stuff, I started listening to it a little bit more. And there's just something about his voice that is unique. or was unique. And he truly was an artist. So he's going to be missed as well. And then last is Hulk Hogan. Like him, hate him, whatever you want to say about him, he was an icon. He really was. He brought wrestling and the WWF out of obscurity and was one of the big megastars that transcended just wrestling, that went beyond wrestling, and he laid the groundwork for wrestlers to get into acting. The Dwayne Johnson, John Cena, and quite a few others that have gone out and done movies and done television shows. Hulk was one of those ones that was able to bridge those gaps with it. Now, was he an angel? No, he wasn't. Was he a major dick at times? Yeah. Was he a racist prick at times? Yeah, he was. Did I agree with his politics at the end, toward the end there? No. Unfortunately, I really think he became a caricature of himself more than anything else. But I still respect what he did in the ring, what he did business-wise with stuff. And I think that that's an important thing to go with there. I really do. And it is a shame that we've lost those people, just boom, boom, boom. And there's a jazz musician also that passed away. I forget the name, please forgive me. But as a Gen Xer, we're seeing more and more of these people that were part of our childhood and young adulthood passing away. And it's hitting a little harder. It's a little difficult to take in, just to be honest. I think that it reminds us of our own mortality and the realization that we're getting up there in age as well. When we look at these people and go, holy shit, 71, 79, 76, that these people are just a decade or two older than we are, and we're sitting there looking at this, and it's a stark reminder about our own mortality. And I know that's a rather grim thing to say with it, but it for me, it is the truth. It's one of those things of, well, shit. This is, what is going to happen here? And makes me want to figure out life planning and everything else with that a little bit more. So, I think I'm going to call it for the night, for the episode, for the show, whatever you want to call it. It is going to be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. We've already had Mike Johnson send the house home early. Now we're going to see what happens after this. So I guess I'm not saying a lot on it anymore, just because I want to see what happens overall and see what revelation shows up next with all of it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, do me the favor. Please hit the like button, the thumbs up button, please. If you watch this, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you want to know when I put things on and when they come out, hit the notification as well. But one of the things I would like for you to do is share this video. Share it on your other social media platforms. I am only on Facebook and YouTube. That's it. I am not doing this for a huge monetary reason or anything else like this. I'm doing it for fun. just kind of speaking out to the void, okay? I'm going to have a little bit more time now that I'm retired, but, and that's kind of what I'm looking at there. I'm speaking my mind and yelling out into the void to see if anybody's there, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember, even though the world is burning, 95% of the time, you should still go out, touch grass, connect with nature, connect with the world and the people around you. And remember, like, subscribe, share, notifications, all of that. Till next week, good night.